I miss my mom. Where's my mom?
The day that my husband passed away, saying not the exact same things, but the most similar things that Kason was saying.
They thought he was asleep, just a sedated boy caught between pain and medication. But then he said something no drug could invent. "Hi, Jesus, you're so beautiful." In that moment, the veil trembled. Heaven didn't knock, it stepped into the room. And what this child saw next matches ancient prophecy word for word.
They thought he was asleep, a child sedated in a hospital bed, drifting somewhere between pain and dreams. Machines hummed, monitors blinked, and the air hung thick with tension. Nurses whispered. His mother held his hand, holding back tears, praying without words. Then his lips parted, not in confusion, not in fear, but with clarity. "Hi, Jesus.
Hi, Jesus.
You're so beautiful." The entire room paused.
So beautiful.
The machines kept working, the monitors didn't flicker, but something else changed. The kind of change you don't see with your eyes, you feel it in your soul, like something ancient just entered a very ordinary space. He whispered again, "I miss you, Jesus. I need you." Not the voice of someone guessing, not a child playing pretend. This was communion. And then came the words that tore through time. "Jesus, when are you coming back?" Who told him to ask that? No adult, no script, no Sunday school prep. Just a boy lying still, speaking like someone who had just returned from somewhere very, very real. Scripture says in Acts 2:17, "Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young will see visions." So what happens when those visions break into real life, on camera, in a hospital room? This wasn't just a boy recovering. It was a message wrapped in innocence, a sign tucked inside a child's fragile frame. And what he said next would mirror the words of prophets and apostles, almost word for word. But first, he looked up and said something that stunned even the grieving heart of his mother. "Dad, do you see me skateboarding?" That was the moment the air changed again. The child, still tethered to wires, still weak in his body, spoke to someone no one else in the room could see. His father, gone for a year, buried, mourned, absent, but not from this moment. "Dad, you're so pretty." The nurse blinked. His mother covered her mouth, but he wasn't afraid. He wasn't confused. His words didn't jumble. They were soaked in clarity, as if his soul had just brushed against the edge of eternity. There was no theology in the room, no preacher, no scholar, no pulpit. Just a boy and a vision. And somehow, it was enough. In the stillness you could feel it. Something holy had entered the ordinary. He wasn't reciting a dream. He was reliving an encounter. "It's so pretty up here. So many flowers and butterflies." He didn't describe golden gates. He didn't talk about clouds or harps. No cliches, no borrowed imagery. Just a child's voice pointing toward a realm most only imagine. And it's exactly what Revelation 21 promises, a place untouched by decay, filled with beauty beyond description. But Kason didn't quote that verse, he lived it. Butterflies. That word alone, repeated with wonder, held more spiritual weight than 1,000 sermons. Because in that moment, heaven wasn't a symbol, it was a presence. His mother wept, trying to make sense of what her son was seeing. But deep down, she knew. This wasn't a hallucination. This was a window. And then, just as suddenly, he looked upward and whispered, "God is so pretty." He said it softly, almost reverently, as if trying not to break the holiness of what he was seeing. Then came the words that split the air wide open. "He has fire eyes." Silence. Not a metaphor, not a guess. Fire eyes. No one coached him to say that. No Sunday school curriculum gave him that phrase, and yet it echoes with precision the very language used by the Apostle John in Revelation 1:14. His eyes were like blazing fire. And Daniel, in the 10th chapter of his vision, said something similar. His eyes like flaming torches. How does a child, barely able to read, use the same descriptors recorded by men who were terrified in the presence of God? He doesn't, unless he saw exactly what they saw. He has fire eyes. He didn't say God was glowing. He didn't describe a halo. He didn't even mention wings or a throne. He focused on the eyes, the one part of the divine that looked straight into him. And that's when you realize this wasn't a child imagining. It was a child beholding. When Isaiah saw the Lord, he cried out in fear. When John saw him, he fell down as if dead. But when this boy saw him, he spoke, calmly, honestly, without fear, without filters. "He's looking at me. He knows I'll save everyone." Wait, what? What does that mean? Who told him that? Before the room could even respond, he said something that no one was ready for. Not his mother, not the staff, not even the camera. "Jesus, I miss you." He didn't whisper it like someone recalling a distant dream. He said it like someone who had just stepped away from a real conversation, a friend parting ways, not a fantasy fading away. And that's when everything clicked. He wasn't speaking about Jesus. He was speaking to him, like he was right there in the room. No trembling, no awestruck babbling, just intimacy. "Jesus, I need you. Jesus, I miss you." Not a child trying to impress, not a prayer recited from memory. Just a little boy, heart open, longing for the presence he just left behind. And suddenly, the Bible's words come to life in a way we rarely expect. "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." This wasn't a child reading theology. This was a sheep recognizing the voice of the shepherd. And the shepherd, he was near. In that sterile hospital room, heaven was bending low, not just to comfort, but to commune. No thunder, no lightning, just whispers of eternity passing through a child's lips. And as his tears gently fell, the room began to feel like something holy, not because of candles or choirs, but because the veil between here and there had grown impossibly thin. "He's listening," the boy said. "He's right there." But what happens when a child sees more than the room should allow? What happens when a glimpse of heaven becomes a warning? Because the next thing he said shocked everyone in the room. "Jesus, when are you coming back?" Not a question from curiosity, not a theological inquiry. It was a cry. It was a longing. It didn't come from fear. It came from ache. as if he had tasted heaven, looked into the eyes of the king, and now couldn't bear the weight of being left behind. That question, so simple, hung in the air like smoke from a burning altar. Jesus, when are you coming back? It's the same question the early church asked, the same question the apostles waited for, the same question prophets cried into the silence of history. And now it's being whispered by a boy, on camera, in a hospital bed. Coincidence or confirmation? In Acts 2 it says that in the last days God will pour out his Spirit. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young will see visions. And maybe we've forgotten that prophecy doesn't always come from pulpits. Sometimes it comes from pain, from innocence, from hospital rooms, because Kaysan's question wasn't just childish wonder. It was a prophetic tremor. "We need you," he whispered. "I need you." And maybe, just maybe, those weren't his words alone. Maybe they were the words of a generation echoing through the mouth of a child.